I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
I'm not even supposed to be here today! Oh, fuck you!
Come on, you want me to drive? You're supposed to be suicidal. Remember, I'll
Anybody
drive.
a drive?
Get in the car.
Fuck me in the ass. Fuck you, you fucking stupid cunt.
Why? Why do we keep remaking animated movies? Why do we keep doing this live-action remake bullshit? Now, okay, what I should have said first was, if you do like this movie, if you loved this remake, each their own. And I'm glad you did. I'm happy you did. But I respect the fact that this film was just not my cup of tea. Will this be a full-on rage rant? I don't think so. Because while, as much as I didn't really like, while this is technically a rant, it's not a rage one because, well, there's just not much to speak of. It's shot for shot, and it's not as, maybe not as bad as, let's say, a majority of worse Disney remakes, but this wasn't really good either. This was really not needed, and this is a remake of a film that's like 15 years old. Which is really, 2010 is not even that old of a year. Now, Hollywood's gotten lazy to the point where we're now remaking films from the 2010s. And no, this is not the first example, because The Rock wants to do a Moana remake. And I don't cut to make that $1 billion box office money. Then again, Disney will remake anything nowadays. And so, it's Donji Corleone here. I'll continue this more after I say what the review is for. And this review is going to be for the How to Train Your Dragon remake, the live-action film, Dreamworks' first live-action remake from 2 weekends ago. Yeah, but I didn't review it yet, because I want to review the original 3 movies first, before going near this. And why I did this one was because this was a poll vote at the time. It was at 90%, well now it's at 64%, but 64% voted yes. 37% have now voted no, but because yes got more votes, got a higher percentage, so we did it. Because 64% still wanted me to do it. That's why. Yeah, usually now, if I do a benefits watch, I'll make a poll vote to see if people want me to watch a film or not to watch a film. If no gets more votes, then I won't do it. But if yes gets more votes, then I will do it. That's kind of my new system. But yeah, so what is the plot of this remake? Well, if you've seen the original, this is the same exact story. Because it's about an ancient threat that endangers both Vikings and dragons alike on the Isle of Berk. So this friendship between an outcast named Hiccup and this other Night-Fury dragon named Toothless, they become the key to both species forging a new future together. Yeah. Because, it's not really just a remake. It's a shot-for-shot remake. Oh, yeah, good. shot for shot again. When has that ever worked? Oh, never. Never. It's never worked. But as for my reaction, as you all know, I do love the original 3 animated films. Right there. In fact, but however, I think I was one of the few rare people, because I say rare because a lot of people were really excited for this, but I was one of the few rare people that never wanted this to happen. For one, I've already said, it's a remake to a movie that's not even that old. The original came out like 15 years ago, but we're now subtly remaking movies from the 2000s and 2010s because, oh yeah, Hollywood has gotten so fucking lazy now to the point where we have to remake everything. Like, remaking 80s and 90s is one thing. Remaking 2000s to 2010s, that's your sign you're out of ideas. Last year, The Strangers got a remake called Strangers Chapter 1, and it was fucking dog shit, but it still made a decent amount of money, so we're still getting Chapter 2. Lilo and Stitch, earlier, which I have not seen, right there, because more people wanted me to check out Karate. Thankfully, wanted me to check out Karate Kid instead of that, but I've read everything about the Lilo and Stitch remake, and it honestly also looks awful. I've heard the ending is awful. Remember the original Lilo and Stitch? Ohana meets family. Family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. This remake seems Ohana means ditch your family. Throw them the fuck to college. No, not throw them the fuck to college. Ditch your family. Throw them the fuck to the government so your ass could go to college. That's apparently how the remake fucking ends. And it's fucking bullshit. Just betrays the whole message of that fucking movie. Well, I read that whole part on Wikipedia, and I'm furious, and it made me very mad. So I'm glad people want me to check out Karate Kid instead, and I'm glad I ended up checking out Karate Kid Legends because I wasn't a big fan of that movie either. But it was just an alright time waster. That's really it. Just an alright time waster, I guess. Wasn't too bad as I was fearing it would be. Like, and now we're getting live action Moanas. I don't know why. Which, Moana's like a film from 2016, which also ain't even that old. And now, you're wondering, but didn't they postpone remakes after Snow White bombed? At first they were, but Lilo and Stitch made money, so they're probably now going to be back in production. So that's not a shock. I wouldn't be shocked if they're back in production, because Lilo and Stitch was a huge profit. And then the teaser for this remake came out, and it made this just look like streaming on TV fare. Yeah, so I just got back from watching this, and yeah, as you can tell, I just didn't like this movie. And no, not because you like to hate on everything, Dandy Corleone. You're just gonna rage bait this? No, I'm not rage baiting this stuff. I did not like this film. This was basically just the same exact movie. It was just shot for shot. It's now it's 125 minutes, whereas this was 98 minutes. This just suddenly, I don't need to see a 2-hour version of a 98-minute film. Same exact movie, same dialogue, same scenes, same plot lines. Yeah, just a movie I can literally watch at fucking home. Right here. Yeah. But this got praise, and you're probably going to be saying, no, but don't worry, they're not going to make they probably won't make any other live action remakes just for this. Oh. Just wait. When this made money, and the live action sequel is going to be happening in 2 years, and that's going to obviously make money, and then Dreamworks is probably going to get greedy. And they're probably going to start doing more and more live-action remakes of their stuff. Because, remember Disney, guys? Alice in Wonderland from 2010 was live-action from Tim Burton. That made $1 billion. And, well, remakes weren't being milked to death at the time. They weren't coming out as frequently as they are nowadays. But then Maleficent made money. Then Cinderella made money. Then The Jungle Book, which I did like. I did like The Jungle Book remake. I will admit, that actually was a remake that was good, because it wasn't shot for shot. It actually did something a little more different. It still had stuff from the animated film, but also had some more stuff from the book. in a way. It actually did something a little more differently. And plus, like, the new cast members actually put life in the roles. That's why I liked it. But then, of course, Disney got greedy with that, and they made Jon Favreau direct a certain remake that actually was not good. But that's not the point. The point is, like, once they started making more money, Disney got greedy, and now they're just, like, remaking every movie of theirs. Now. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Dreamworks starts doing the same thing with this, too. Like, what's next? Are we going to get live-action Road to El Dorados? Or are we going to get live-action Prince of Egypt? Well, technically, we already got a live-action Prince of Egypt called Exodus from Ridley Scott, and that was awful. Awful fucking film. You also got, we're going to have what? We're going to have live-action Sinbads, live-action Spirits Down as Samarans, or how about worse? How about live-action troll films? I wonder what idiot that would sorry. I wonder what idiot that would attract. Alright, I know you know who. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to say his name on my channel. I don't want to credit that psychopath's existence on here. But you know who I'm talking about when I say that. God. Imagine. And that's why I hope they don't do that. Because of that, not just because I don't like the troll films, but that's one of the reasons why I don't. Because I know you know who will be excited for that. God. But then again, this is Hollywood now. They gotta do live action shit on everything nowadays. So yeah, what I'm saying is, they'll start doing, when that sequel makes money, they're gonna probably start doing more of these. They're gonna probably start doing more live action remakes of all their stuff. It happened with Disney, it can happen with Dreamworks. Anything can happen. But so yeah, like, there were plans for this like 2 years ago in February 2023 with the production stuff, and DeBlois was returning to write, direct, and produce. John Powell returned to compose a score. Then, of course, some more cast members got announced, like Thamson Parker had joined the cast by May 2023. And then more casting got announced last year in January. And then filming began later that month and then wrapped in May last year. So yeah, this is their first live action film, and probably going to be more to follow. When it was officially shot and advertised, like, it got advertisements from Burger King, they got toys at Walmart. It premiered at CinemaCon on April 2nd, 2025. Released in the United States by Universal Pictures because they own DreamWorks now, and they've owned DreamWorks since this movie. On June 13th, 2025. And it's like made over $300-something million worldwide so far and got positive reviews, but it didn't get the same positive reviews as either of these did. Even these got better reviews than this remake did. And a sequel's coming out. It got announced before this even came out, and now it's definitely going to really come out because this is making a big profit. So why I didn't like the movie? Because it's a copy and paste of the original. Is it something kids would enjoy? Yeah. They would, but the thing is like, the acting in this, like, okay, except for Fish Legs. Fish Legs I could deal with. Fish Legs and Fish Legs and Gober, like Nick Frost's Gober, I guess, were the exceptions I could deal with. The rest of the acting from the rest was terrible. Actually, no. 3 exceptions. Gerald Butler came back as stoic, and I will admit Gerald Butler did put a little more life, had definitely much more life repeating his lines more than Mufasa in the Lion King remake. That I can admit, but Gober, stoic, Fish Legs are the 3 exceptions, but everyone else, terrible. Like, almost the lines they said, they had like no emotion to them. Honestly, like Nico Parker as Astrid, yeah, I can agree with people. This new actress for Astrid barely had much emotion. Almost has the same facial expressions throughout the movie. It's like they're just reciting what they're told to say. Like, there's changes in dialogue and maybe some added story elements because this is 2 hours long, and none of that was even needed at all. Right there, like, this might as well just be the same runtime because this is basically the same exact story. And apparently this remake was to introduce this franchise to a new generation, but you want to introduce this generation to How to Train Your Dragon? Here's an idea. How about don't make a remake in the first place? And oh, I don't know. How about just rent all these on Prime or Netflix? Or find these at your local record store or collectible or vintage stores? Or any DVD stores like Sunrise Records or Walmart's? Ever thought about that? I don't know. Maybe that instead, because, and you're saying, but it's expensive on Amazon Prime. DVDs are expensive. Well, theaters ain't any more affordable. Okay? Theaters aren't really any more affordable than those. If I want to watch this series again, I'll just watch them at home, all right here. There, problem solved. Like, we don't need to remake everything nowadays. Like, we're not idiots. Like, freedom in direction is, like, definitely evaporating, especially with the hands of the producers, or the creativity of the film, or the imagining minds, that are just replaced by a bunch of resources, and quotas, and standards. This whole and Hollywood just playing it safe again. That's why this remake tries to recreate everything again, like scene by scene and line for line. Like almost all the lines in this film are the same exact as you saw in the original movie. It just feels like a cheapened experience. Like the animated release felt much more life felt. Each aspect just loses the whole honesty here, and the same director as the original, but it's like he just now has a storyboard and not just trying to craft it, just trying to repeat the whole thing again. And the film just evolves into what was a former magnum opus, just trying to make success like a studio that had a rival with them, but now trying to copy that studio's success, which it had at the time. Now they're struggling. Like now when it comes to Hiccup's new actor Mason Thames, now I did like him in The Black Phone, but I thought he was not a good choice for Hiccup. Like he doesn't really match any of the development that Jay Baruchel's version of the character had. Like Jay Baruchel put more life into Hiccup right here. Like there, I mean, now like and same with like the rest of the cast too. Like the new actors for the twins. They look too old compared to the twins' age in the actual series. Right there, like they even quote that right there in like one bit of this whole reference that bit there, and the new Astrid here has the same facial expressions right there. Barely doesn't really sound all that pissed really at times, or not tough at times. Like right there, just like in the comedy when it's there, it just falls flat because it's the same exact comedy. And like more about Astrid, like now Astrid being a little more tough or angry in the original animated film, but at least made a little more sense. This time, like, almost acts like that throughout the entire film. Just some angry girl boss now. But how do we start off? So, it's like the start of the original film, where dragons are attacking the village of Burke, and they're stealing the livestock, endangering the villagers. Hiccup, who's the 15-year-old son of Stoic the Vast, who now literally sounds like he's 17 years old. Like there is an apprentice to Blacksmith Gober, who's now played by Nick Frost, who may not have been Craig Ferguson, but I'll admit he actually wasn't bad. I guess he wasn't bad. I mean, I do like Nick Frost in a lot of films. I like Shaun of the Dead. I like his collaborations with Simon Pegg. Like those films like Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Paul. I like those films. Those films are all funny. And who attempts to create mechanical devices to overcome his weaknesses, and then one time during Dragon Raid, shoots down this rare dragon called Night Fury, but because he messes up the livestock again in this version, he's disbelieved, and once again is of course mocked by his peers. And like you do get some of the same narration, but like remember when Astrid's entrance in the original, when there was that whole fire in the background and was kind of dousing that all out in the battle, that whole epic entrance. This time around, no, that doesn't happen here. There, and of course, doesn't happen in this version. But now Hiccup wants to prove himself, and so he searches for the dragon to kill it. He sees Toothless helpless and wounded, but he releases him. But the anger dragon spares his life. That's all literally the start of this film. Again, and now, like, the several comedic dialogue bits are removed. What's still there gets toned down or just pushed off screen. Like, there's like, remember that scene, like when the little terrible terror dragons that tried to steal Toothless's food when they were sitting on that hill after that first test flight. Hiccup fed one of them. That scene ain't even there. They took that out of the film. Like, that scene was meant to kind of show Hiccup that the dragons weren't as bad as they seemed. That was also meant to first show that. That scene's gone in this movie. It's not there. The photography is kind of awful. Like, there's times when it's too dark. There's, like, no contour light. Some scenes feel confusing. And you have, like, still have the same major plot points, though, but arrive those points in a different way. Like, maybe, like, this film could have, maybe explored Burke a little more, show us some different stuff. If you were going to try to remake something, and the pacing of the film is off. This is a movie that just never worked for a live-action adaptation. Like, some scenes go by quick. The dialogue or joke just gets no time to breathe. I'm not trying to be funny for starting next line. And, like, it felt like Hiccup just sounded much more grown up already, or just too tall. Like, compared to the original film, where you actually could believe his more outcast status, because, well, he was technically the much smaller of the village. That was kind of meant to kind of showcase the character he was. Like, remember the beginning of the animated film when Hiccup was at the armor shop with Gober and trying to help him, then Gober tosses Hiccup a sword to sharpen while Hiccup struggled to hold it. It's almost too heavy for him and comically oversized. Like, the short moment that was funny and also established his character traits. That's not really here in the new film, and like when he like gets the sword to sharpen, he seems to hold it fine. Because we want to be realistic. We want to be realistic. So what? And also the point is, he still did dialogue that's almost the same as the original film. There are some minor changes, but most of the dialogue is still the same. Literally all of it. So yeah, as you remember, the original, Stoic is rallying the fleet to destroy the dragon's nest, and he heeds Gober's advice and rolls Hiccup in a dragon class with the other cool kids. Like, as you saw in the beginning of the film, like, they still have the same names, like Fish Legs, who actually is the most accurate to the animated film. Snotlout, who really doesn't really sound was kind of the jock of the gang, and didn't really feel like a jock here. Like, it didn't really feel much useful to the plot. And the twins, who honestly seemed much more assholes in this one compared to the animated film. The animated film, like, I never really liked the twins anyway, but honestly here they're worse. They're honestly much more annoying in this one. Like, remember the beginning scene when they made fun of Hiccup for the whole messing up trying to protect the livestock there, and well, they literally say something worse, like when he's being led back to his home, like, like, what did they said something like, well, sorry guys, like a chief should have booted him out of the village by now, and like that in this scene, like they never said that in the original film. Yeah, like that never happened in the original movie. Like, come on, like that. That's honestly much more mean-spirited, honestly, to be fair. And of course, he's still mocked by his peers in this version. He struggles in class, and whenever he goes back to the forest, he finds Night Fury's trapped in a cove and it can't fly because, remember the original, the half his tail fin got severed off, but he then befriends the dragon, like, creates him this prosthetic, names him Toothless. When he gives him the fish, he still had the lines he crosses in this version as well. And so eventually, once he gets that harness saddle and prosthetic fin, Toothless is able to fly with Hiccup around his back to guide him, and he also learns about dragon behavior from Toothless and allows him to subdue the captive trading dragons. Like, what happens all here, the villagers are impressed, but remember Astrid is jealous, and character, and, well, angry girl boss Astrid in this version, might as well say, there, who literally, whenever Astrid repeats her lines, it doesn't really feel lifelike, and almost has the same facial expression throughout the entire film. It even mentions, like, at one point, like, remember the scene with when they're given the Dragon book to read, and, well, and the scene was, like, kind of quick, where I guess we're just read it and just walked away in the original when that was a quick scene. Well, this scene gets extended where, yeah, this scene gets extended, basically, pointlessly, and then mentions, like, is that, were you trying to be weird or something? And then, of course, like, one day I'm going to be the chief and I'm watching that little house of yours. Like, they apparently, do we really need to have this scene be extended? But then, as this is all going on, remember, Stoich's fleet gets damaged and turns to Burke and learns of Hiccup's success, and then the final test happens, or when the final test, when, like, Astrid got jealous of Hiccup in the original, and then during the final test, she, like, pinned Hiccup down and told him to not, like, don't ruin this, I'm winning this time. Or this version, she just runs up to him when he's hiding and says, no more your tricks. This is my win this time. Where, and that's just it. But, of course, like, he passes this whole thing, and so he once again gets selected for the final exam. And, like, almost kind of the same but this time around, though, Goldberg now originally has this thumbs down prosthetic point at Hiccup, but then the villager's like, what? But then he swaps it to a thumbs up thumbs up prosthetic thing, which I will admit, that was kind of funny. I'll admit that was kind of a funny change. That did make me laugh. But he tries to flee with Toothless, but Astrid discovers them, or remember, like, when Astrid found out about the whole truth originally, and remember the line, that's for the lies, and that's for everything else. And when this scene happens in the remake, that's for the lies, and that's for everything else. Look, this just doesn't really sound all that pissed in this version. Just sounds like that's for lies, that's for everything else, I guess is what it sounds like. But he takes her on a flight to show her the Toothless's friendliness, and then they get drawn to the dragon's nest, and this is where you get the Red Death, which, remember the Red Death? Like, the Red Death in the original film looked much more intimidating. This literally looks like a giant red-faced version of the Kraken in this one. Like, the Red Death in the original animated film looked much more intimidating than this did. It almost looks like a red-faced Kraken Godzilla. But, yeah. That's what you see in this version, and it still commands the dragons to avoid eating themselves, and this time around, the dragons just look like they're circling around the Red Death's area whenever they're dropping the food in. And that's where they learn that the dragons attack Burke. Astrid wants to inform the villagers, but Hiccup advises against it to protect Toothless. Like, the thing about animated films, it has the advantage of creating higher suspension of disbelief, like, compared to live-action films, and whenever, like, doing a one-on-one conversion of the animated film to live-action, like sometimes it works with stuff like 101 Dalmatian 996 and The Jungle Book 2016, which were the only two exceptions for me personally, because those are remakes I like. Not all the time they work. Like more about, like, Astrid. Like, Astrid did not just sound lifeless compared to America Ferrara, who literally even did much better than this new actress did. This actress is just much colder, honestly much ruder, and much more harsher on Hiccup in this film, unlike the original animated film. Whereas the original animated film, at least it did make a little bit more sense, in kind of a way. So this version was hard for me to really accept their eventual romance, and usually, like, as the series progressed, Astrid was this character that had drive and conviction and sharp sarcasm, and really had confidence, and often pushed Hiccup to act as the series progressed. Like, heck, even the Dragon series on Netflix, like, even got even better character development in the Dragon series. Which, yeah, I've been checking out the Dragon series because Declan Kurtz wanted me to check out the Dragon series, and yeah, I'm liking it so far. Like, even the series I'm liking much better than I liked this remake. There's times when this series is actually willing to get dark in some episodes. Compared to some of DreamWorks' other cash and TV series, like, that's the one series that I can put up with. Like, and usually when it came to the duo in the animated series, Hiccup was kind of more of a thinker, where this version is now just more of a thinker, whereas this one, she now just feels more like the leader this time. Well, in the original series, well, he was kind of more of the thinker and more of the leader as the series progress, but it even gets further lost in the film. But this one is just Astrid, not hesitant, non-sharp, and much more colder. And the only drive is that she just wants to win the whole thing. And the only thing really she says in the first 2/3 of the movie until, well, the infamous later act happens. It's not loud in this version. We just now need some subplot where he has daddy issues, just slapped in there to add something new, and just serves no purpose. And that was really it. Like, it's like they just wanted the character some role in the plot, but that just goes nowhere. Like, most of the things, like, just trying to impress his dad, like, hey, daddy, probably don't talk to me in public. Like, who needed that? Like, this subplot was not even important to the film. It was just there to make the film 2 hours. And it doesn't really go much anywhere else. Like, we never saw his dad in the animated films, but still. And they even cut scenes, like, that are important to Hiccup's development, the not-so-fireproof scene that led to the decision-making when defeating the Red Death. Like, they move his character development in the end, where he's really supposed to become a leader. Instead, like, basically, he lets Astrid lead. Still says his exact lines, but it just removes a main turning point for the character. Really, so what was really the point of his character development in this version, then, if he's just going to let Astrid lead in the end? Yeah, there's always a risk choosing the live-action versions of an animated character, but the other dragons, like, they still have some of their animated film designs, but they don't really have the, if that's the case though, why does Toothless still have his animated eyes, and why does he still have his animated emotions right there, but yeah, all the other dragons look all real? That makes no sense, in a way. I mean, while they're not as, well, at least they're not badly designed like some Disney remake stuff, but the thing is, like, why is Toothless almost just looks nearly the entire same as he did in the animated one, whereas the dragons still do look the same as theirs, but they have a little more live action eyes to them. That's the thing. So it's a weird change and it makes no sense. Right there, so like Toothless in the animated one shows emotions and sits like a human and does some really expressive, bizarre things, like, and that works because it's animated. When you take this design, just throw into live action, and still make him look the same exact as his animated counterpart, it looks awkward. There, because basically he just looks the same, but he just lacks all his animated stuff. So, then the final exam scene happens, and it's the same exact as the original film, where Hiccup has to face this nightmare dragon. Instead of killing it, he tries to publicly prove the dragons can be peaceful, but Stoic enrages the dragon, like in the original. Then Toothless comes out of hiding to protect Hiccup, but then Toothless is captured by Stoic, and then he disowns Hiccup, and whereas, like, this literally all the same dialogue, like, they killed hundreds of us, and we've killed thousands of them. Same as the original. Same exact dialogue, same exact lines. There, and then Stoic's fleet uses Toothless to guide him to the nest despite Hiccup's warnings, but then of course you get the scene where Astrid reminds Hiccup that he spared Toothless out of sympathy and not cowardice, and but instead, like, whereas in that animated movie, it actually felt like more character development completed. This, once again, lifeless, but Astrid has Hiccup rally other teens, but still lets Astrid take the lead. Anyway, so that really just contradicts the character development of the character in the original. And he pursues Stoic's fleet to the nest. And they locate and break open the nest, but the Red Death awakens and it overpowers them. But the riders arrive and they distract the Red Death, where this time around, like, they do whack its eye and do whack some of its teeth. Hiccup tries to free Toothless from the ship that sinks, but Stoic rescues both of them, reconciles with his son, and so then the same scene happens in the original where they lure the Red Death to the air, they damage its wing, set its insides on fire, and it crashes and explodes, but Tail hits him in the last moment, and he falls into the fireball, but And then, of course, you get the scene where they almost think he's dead, and this scene is done a little bit more differently, where Stoic and Astrid do console one another, and that wasn't in the original film. Like, that's one of the few things that's done differently here. Like, that's that at least that was done a little more. At least they did something a little more different with that bit. But like during the bit though, Toothless just kind of wakes up, and whereas in the original he didn't really wake up for some time, so it felt more believable that Hiccup had really died. I mean, he is still at first looks like he is missing in this version, but in the animated film, like you actually almost did believe that Hiccup actually did die, because like Toothless didn't wake up for a brief bit, but then he woke up and he showed Hiccup unconscious. Well, but he lost his left foot, still loses his left foot here, like, and yeah, like they removed a lot of stuff about Hiccup's character development, like after the test flight when Hiccup sat down with Toothless and Pets of Terrors in the original. That was taken out of the movie, and I don't know why it was. I wish they did not take that out, because when he realized everything they know was wrong, and that was an important scene in the original, and they just take that out of the movie like it's not even important. And also remove the shot in the end of the original when Hiccup's new peg leg mirrors Toothless's injured tail. Like it's like it's trying to imitate the original's charm, but it still looks like a CGI heavy fantasy with no heart. The cinematography is just a pale imitation of the beauty of the whole animated series. Yeah, John Powell comes back for the score, but even this score can't even recapture the original magic he already did. So those are why I don't really like this. That's why just did not like this remake. It brought nothing new to the table. It added no depth to the narrative. It waters down what made the original trilogy special. Like the heart, soul, magic are gone. So now we get on with the finale, where with the threat of the Red Death defeated and the Berg villagers exist with the dragons, Gober replaced Hiccup and Toothless's missing limbs, and Hiccup is now admired by the villagers and begins a relationship with Astrid, and well, yeah, that's the end of the film, and it ends once again like the original. It ends with them flying off, with him and the writers flying off into the sky on their dragons, and it ends the same as the original, except remember this song from Jonesy Sticks and Stones in the end credits? That's not here. It just gets replaced with a score for the credits, and yeah, there's no Jonesy even, because I really like the end song of that film, and that's just gone too. But so yeah, like shot for shot, same as the original, over 2 hours, nothing new. If you've seen the original movie, then guess what? You've already watched this. Original movie was the same as this, except it was actually better than this. And if I want to see this movie, I'll just rewatch this version anytime. At home on my TV. If I ever want to see this film again, I'll just go watch the animated version. Now, does the movie have good qualities? Yeah, it has good qualities. It does have good qualities. The good qualities prevent it from being nearly as bad as some of the worst Disney remakes I have seen. Because for one, like some of the production design, the graphics, and the approach, I guess, is good. I mean, the dragons at the very least don't look horrendous like the remake Flounder or the remake PlayStation 1 Dwarfs or the lifeless animals in The Lion King at the very least. And yeah, I guess I like it doesn't add some of the more Disney agendas. That I will admit, there's no Disney related agendas in this remake. And I will admit, like, Fish Legs actually did sound accurate to his animated counterpart, and Nick Frost, I will admit, was not too bad as Gober. Not Craig Ferguson, but not bad. And definitely, like, Gerald Butler coming back for Stoic, well, Gerald Butler still definitely put much more life in his return as Stoic in this version than they did with Mufasa, right there, where they just had him re-record his line, where they just had the late James Earl Jones, may rest in peace, re-record his lines when they were just doing the same movie again. They could have just reused what they already recorded in that film and just put that in Mufasa, but still pay James Earl Jones the money for it. They still pay him and God's permission to reuse the lines he already recorded. Could have did that instead, but I did still like Gerald Butler as Stoic in this version. But other than that, if you want to still watch the movie, go ahead. You can still watch the film. But unless you don't want to see another shot-for-shot remake of an animated film, just skip this and just go rewatch the original from 2010 if you just want to see a better version and don't want to see another shot-for-shot remake. And this will not be the only one they do, because they're probably going to do more of this. If the sequel makes money, they're probably going to want to start doing more of this with their other stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. So in the end, maybe or maybe not avoid this remake, or just go watch the 2010 film instead, because that's a film that's honestly more deserving of a praise and more memorable than this was. And this review was a little slow, but there was just not much to talk about, because it was just the same movie, except just 2 hours long and just lifeless. That's why. But anyways, that's it for my review on How to Train Your Dragon 2025. And when I rank How to Train Your Dragon 2025, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, at least you want to experience another shot-for-shot remake of a better film that is not even that old in the first place to begin with, then just go watch the 2010 version instead. And if you're running How to Train Your Dragon 2025, I'm going to give How to Train Your Dragon 2025 a 3 out of 10. Alright, there we go, guys. That wraps up my review for How to Train Your Dragon 2025. And I know it's going to make people mad. My opinion's going to make people mad. But I want to know in the comments down below what you guys thought about the film, whether you did love it or whether you're one of the few rare like myself that just thought this film was just not for them. And until then, that will be it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, and don't forget to subscribe to Donji Corleone.